Welcome back everyone to Gotcha Interact. Today we're going to be talking about a few different things that have possibly come up with 5.2 banner speculations, as well as different ideas with different types of things that might be coming out in 5.2. Also looking a little bit into peaks and what we might see in 0.3, as well as possibly a little bit farther into the future. So if you guys did like the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Now let's go ahead and talk about the first thing that we're going to be talking about here, which is looking at the banner data for 5.2. So the first phase, we're going to have Lyney and Chasca be in the first half. In the second half, we're going to be having Neuvillette and Zhongli, getting some reruns on that end as well. Now, also in the possibility, probably I'm going to guess for first phase, is we're going to have Orodon with Hazo and Fischl. So looking at that being our first banner and our second banners, Rift, what are you looking at in terms of both these banners at least?
Well, I think it's a pretty solid lineup. Obviously, we've got the new character, and then we also have Lyney rerunning, which you can correct me if I'm wrong, Vixen, but I think this is Lyney's first rerun all the way back since 4.0.
I don't believe so, considering he reran with Arlecchino, actually.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You're right. He was in 4.6.
Because I sadly got two of the first Great Magics back to back instead of getting Arlecchino's weapon,
yeah.
So
I'm sorry, Lyney fans. I completely forgot about Lyney, but I think that's a solid lineup. Lyney still remains to be a pretty goated, honestly, DPS character. He has a very high ceiling for damage, and you use lots of easy teams to build. You just use the Bennett, traditional Bennett, right? He's always there. Xiangling, easy to build character, free character. So a lot of his teams are just very easy. So very solid character to go after, even if he's like a first DPS for a new player. Chasca's looking pretty good. We have already been talking about her. As far as the 4-stars go, I think this is a really good lineup for the 4-stars. A new character, a new 4-star in this instance, is always super hype for all players regardless, just because new kit to play around with. And even these other two 4-stars, Hazo, he's a pretty powerful DPS character if you actually do invest into him. Has a lot of easy to build teams. Just being an Animo character makes him pretty flexible. You could do a lot of different soup teams. You could do a hyper carry team to make him a full out damage dealer with Farazan or something like that. And Fischl has always just been a very powerful damage dealing character from off field to have, so getting cons for her is pretty good. Her C6 is something that, you know, is good to have. So I think this banner, in terms of 4-stars, even if this is how it comes, is a very good lineup. This banner has a lot of value already if this is how it is. And then that second half, Neuvillette, Zhongli. Neuvillette still remains. Now this could be debatable, and I'm not, you know, one to like fight about it, but Neuvillette is definitely one of the best DPSs in the game, arguably the best in the game, with Arlecchino being that runner-up, right? But with Xilonen, I feel like maybe he's topped a little bit over Arlecchino. What do you think about that, Vixen?
Well, actually, before we get a little bit into that, I do want to talk about quickly going back into the Lyney and Chasca idea. And the great thing about that actually is that her weapon looks like it's going to be crit damage at the same amount at level 90 as Lyney's weapon actually. Now, both of them use charge attacks. Obviously, the first Great Magic is so specified into a mono-specific team, especially with the stacks and everything that you can get. So although it's a good stat stick, it can be a little bit annoying for characters that don't want, you know, an entire team of the same element. And so although originally, to me, this looks like an initially like good idea to have both of these weapons, if you lose on one weapon, don't worry, you can use the other. And while that's true with the first Great Magic for, you know, vice versa for the characters, Chasca, if you get the first Great Magic, it's not going to be that great for her, considering you just get a bunch of movement speed stacks instead of getting attack stats or stacks for your attack. So that's kind of the issue with both of them. I just kind of wanted to talk about that because that weapon banner, you're going to really want one way or the other. You're really not going to want to kind of mix them because her weapon looks like it's going to have to deal with swirl and all that type of stuff to give attack, which once again, his teams are very mono pyro focused. Anyways, going back into what you were talking about though with Neuvillette and kind of that idea, I think Xilonen made everybody just better no matter who they were. So I don't think any of teams really changed because, you know, or the placing really changed. I don't think that Neuvillette, you know, took a leap and a bound ahead of her, and I don't think that Arlecchino got any closer to being number one as she was before. I think their distance, everybody in the power rankings kind of stayed the same. Only thing is that maybe your Animo and your Dendro characters
teams
might have taken a little bit of a fall, but at the end of the day, it's just another cause. It's just another great character. So yeah, or just get Nahida. So unlike me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, it's definitely a goated lineup for sure.
Yeah, both banners look good, and it's definitely going to be hard to pull. I think a lot of people are probably going to actually skip the first half. Chasca, I think, is a very specific pull. Like, you have to really be wanting that to actually go for it. Lyney's the same way, but possibly even worse. Like, you really have to just want to go full mono pyro to go after it. Neuvillette and Zhongli, though, I think everybody's going to be saving for. Both of them have really strong constellations, and they're really strong characters, so it's going to be very interesting to see what people are going to do. I think a lot of people are going to skip that first half, but looking a little bit further now into the next speculation we have, which is looking at new artifact inventory UI that we've supposedly are going to be getting. The biggest thing is showing 5-star artifacts in order when they were obtained. Now, I didn't even think that this was necessarily something that was extremely needed, but I know Rift, as soon as I said it the other day, you were just like, yep, I'm happy about that one. So give me some insight on that one.
I was so happy when you brought that up, because as someone who has been building every single character, constantly doing all kinds of different just domains, really all of them in a sense, because once you have touched every character, you've pretty much touched every single domain. And so being able to see when I've gotten them, not just organizing by set or level or whatever, I want to know, okay, what was the most recent batch of artifacts I just grinded? Now, sometimes I'll just be playing multiple games at once, and so because of that, I will have just finished a domain in Genshin, and then those 900 seconds before it just kicks you out will be up, because I've been on Star Rail for those 15 minutes, and so I'm like, oh wait, I don't even know what artifacts were there, and so now I have to go search for it by both sets usually, because I have no idea what they were. And so, like, I don't know, that happens to me a lot. Now, that might just be a personal issue, and it probably is, but it's still just a nice thing to have, to know exactly what you just got. Maybe you had some second thoughts on an artifact that you didn't lock, and you're like, you know what, I should have locked that. Well, now you can easily find it. Or vice versa. Maybe you lock something and like, no, that was actually garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I totally think it's a good idea. I think it's, once again, obviously with these types of things, it's always quality of life. For me, it's more or less just going to be flexing to myself, like, oh, that was cool that I got like this extremely good like goblet or something from 2 years ago, and it's like, oh my goodness, like I've had that piece for a long time now. It's also nice to see, maybe
that is true, for
a character, like, how long has it been since you've grinded for them, or maybe not how long since you've grinded for them, how long has it been since you've taken some time to look at them, especially with you, as you've building every single character. You might be like, okay,
I didn't even think about that. That's cool.
Yeah, you almost built every single character. Okay, well, let's go back through and see which character needs a tune-up, and you're almost like, okay, it's been like 2 years since I last built Yanfei or something. I should, you know what, she's not really that great, but I just kind of let her be. Let's just go back and build her. Like, I don't know. It's, once again, going to be very specific. It's not really going to be something that everybody's going to enjoy, but I think it's like cool enough where I think some people are definitely going to enjoy it. Obviously, Ripped, you sound like it as well, so it's going to mean different things for different people. But it looks like also there's a lock assistance type thing where it will lock or unlock things based on your preferences, which also could be very helpful for people who just kind of go through domains or don't lock things. That kind of just allows you to, if it has a crit substat, make sure to always lock it. That might be something that we see, which might be useful, especially if you're just, like you're talking about Rift, you're not really paying attention. If something can get auto-locked for you so it doesn't get thrown to the strong box or something, that could definitely be extremely useful for a lot of people, so they don't get rid of it by accident. The next thing we're going to be talking about is Mavuika gameplay crumbs. Now, with this, there's some back and forth between what she's possibly going to do. One place is saying that she's going to be a DPS, and the other side is saying, okay, well, Mavuika is going to run in the sky, the sea, the land. She's going to be everywhere. She's going to give Night Soul to all teammates, which I think a lot of people have been hoping and talking about, which I think is a very good idea. And then she will also be hitting Pyro from off field. Keeping that in mind, we're going to jump a little bit to a next speculation, or half of it, and then I'll give it to you, Rift. Is the next idea is someone else said, okay, well, Mavuika is a main DPS, and a character in the future that's going to be Sitlali is going to be a support. I think everybody's okay with that second half part, but I think people aren't maybe understanding what Mavuika is really going to do, because we have two conflicting results here. So we have Pyro off-field, but we also have a main DPS type character. It doesn't say on-field main DPS, just says main DPS. So it could be someone that does the most damage for the team off-field. Or it could be we could get an infusion with Mavuika where she can be either on field or off field. There's a lot of things running around. So Rift, I don't know. What are you thinking about that?
I mean, my first thinking is that I know a lot of different people will get different ideas based on the same words that can be said. Some people think when they hear main DPS, oh, the character's on field. And that's like, okay, that's fair that you would think that. But some people just don't. Some people are like, well, that doesn't mean they have to be on field. That just means they're doing most of the damage. So there's just all kinds of different ways things can be interpreted. And when we're already in the realm of so many unknowns, I think it's what's most important is to just realize, okay, so she's going to have the ability possibly, right, to hit off field with the pyro application. So maybe she's going to have some good application while she's not on the field. Okay. But she's also just going to deal a lot of damage whether or not that's on or off field. Of course, there's just so many unknowns still at this point that there's still so much that could happen. But I definitely think that's pretty cool. Having the application while being off field is going to be a valuable asset because Genshin Impact is also Element Impact. That's just how the game works. So that's going to be valuable even if it's damage not there, let's just say all of her damage, 99% of it's just while she's on field, okay? Pure speculation. Either way, we know as an Archon, if she's being centered as dealing damage, she's going to deal great damage on or off field. And just having that off field pyro application is going to be something that you can just allow all of us to finally put to rest our Zhonglings.
I definitely am going to be happy about that, that's for sure. But I'm also in the same boat of wanting her to be on field. So I think if we can kind of get that both thing, I think that's going to make a lot of people happy, like you're saying, on both sides of the front. So we'll get to see in the future. Yeah, literally. We're not even going to talk about that one. Anyways, the other speculation that we kind of dipped into a little bit already was talking about Mavuika being a main DPS and Lily being a support, but also talking about the 5.3 Lantern Rite being held. Now, this is the idea that I think a lot of people were focusing on, at least I was, is that 5.3 having the Lantern Rite, which is also going to be possibly the end of the Archon quest, also being the kind of the insurance to like a lot of what's going to happen in Natlan. Never mind, also we're going to see that Madam Ping, which was thought to be a character in the future to be playable, is now not going to be in 5.3 or 5.4. So very interesting things. I don't know. I'm kind of speculating on a lot of different things because it's definitely weird how it'd be interesting how they don't put Madam Ping anywhere, especially in a 5.3 Lantern Rite. It almost seems perfect, but hey.
Yeah. That's kind of exactly what I was thinking. If we're to have Lantern Rite and Madam Ping is this suspected new character, why would she not be there? It's like, it would be like Shan Yun coming out in like 4.6 or 7 instead of 4.4 when we had the Lantern Rite. It just is like, okay, why not, you know? And there's of course going to be other reasons. Someone could argue, well, we had the new Chen Yu Veil, and so, okay, fair enough. But yeah, it just doesn't make logical sense. I guess, well, me personally, I haven't really thought about Madam Ping a lot. I guess I could care less if she becomes a playable character. I don't know. But I could have said the same thing about Cloud Retainer as well, like a year ago. But I ended up pulling her. So, you know, that's pretty volatile, I guess I could say. But I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting. Obviously, like you said already, Vixen, it's very subject to change. The possibility of 5.3 Archon Quest in Natlan, will that change something? Probably not, because who's to say Lantern Rite has to be held in Natlan? Lantern Rite could just be held in Leeway like it usually has been until this last year. So it's just, you know, I think anything can happen with this. This could be the case. It could not be the case.
Yeah, once again, as we're getting later into the speculations, you'll start to see we're talking about further and further things. And as you get further and further beyond, less and less is really known. And that's honestly because probably the game themselves has changing things, as well as, you know, they may initially have had an idea and then it just gets switched at one point. So a speculation could have been true, but just behind the scenes that we didn't see until weeks later, it just got reverted to different. And to us, it looks like the leak or the speculation wasn't even right. Yeah. So anyways, the last thing we want to talk about the next
8.3, a new element. It's like, yeah, okay, guys, come on.
We've been waiting for that for a very long time. But the last thing we want to talk about is the future character and the 5-star Pyro Catalyst main DPS girl model character. Basically Klee, but taller and
so Klee.
not as terrorist-like. So anyways, yeah, I think that's the idea with this character. I'm interested. I'm definitely interested because I'm thinking like a Yanfei, but better. And I know I'm going to get flamed for that in the comments, but that's okay. And if they can make a character like Klee that's not as clunky, I think a lot of people are going to be happy and satisfied with that.
Now, I'll just be honest, the first character that came to my mind was Yansan, and yes, guys, I know, I instantly thought, wait, hold on, guys. This is an Electro character. She's probably like a polearm character. I mean, I don't know, Catalyst doesn't really seem like what she's going to be, but I don't know, Yansan gives me a lot of Pyro vibes, and then you see all the Electro aura, and you're like, oh, well, never mind. So, I don't know, but yeah, like you said, Vixen, a Yanfei 5-star, essentially, would be really cool. Some of the thoughts that came to my mind for something we would maybe want, maybe some other people, I know a lot of other people wanted this, and then we got Kanish, but to have a Pyro burning focused character, because Emily and Kanish are both Dendro, that's not to say they're bad by any means, it's just to say, let's just have the reverse side of the card. That's literally all it comes down to. But to see a Pyro character to work with Burn, that'd be cool. Maybe another Overload specific type of character. I think there's a lot of things they could come out with. I don't know that Pyro is lacking by any means. There's nothing that like needs to happen unless I'm just not thinking of it off the top of my head, because the Pyro element just has a lot of DPSs already. That's kind of the idea behind Pyro, to be honest. I think Pyro has the most DPSs in the game, so it really doesn't like need another one. There are already so many, but to see something more niche or just unique, I think that's what would be cool as a selling factor to just a new character at that point, because it's more or less what makes this character more fun to play as opposed to what makes the character just straight up better, because honestly, a lot of the Pyro DPSs are just good.
Yeah, and it's just been constantly just stepping on the dead carcass, the dead carcass of the last character to just get better and better and better. So hopefully this character, if anything, is a side grade, or like you're talking about, just a different type of character. Obviously, being a Natlin, hopefully we'll see something different than Mavuika. We'll see something different than anything else. Like you were saying, Burning could get something. Even a Burgeon DPS would be interesting if they go heavy off of EM, kind of like what you see in like a D-Loop.
Yeah, that's true.
But like actually built for it. So,
but like, yeah, exactly, designed for it.
Yeah, so there's a lot to go on to, but that's really everything we have in terms of what we've kind of found out. A lot of this stuff was kind of maybe a few days ago, but we finally had time to kind of throw something together just because, well, life happens. But if you guys did enjoy the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. If you guys want to know any more, go ahead and let us know in the comments. If you guys know any more, go ahead and let us know down in the comments. Let us know what you're expecting or hoping for to see out of Mavuika, what you guys are looking forward to with the Lantern Rite, maybe the new character, the new Pyro Catalyst character, what you're maybe hoping she specifically does. Let us know down in the comments. Once again, if you did like the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Check out the Discord as well. Thank you guys for watching the video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.